Thank you for coming, those of you who are here today. And we're here to discuss an important issue that our state is facing, and that is, last year we passed Act 46, which had to do with our school governance, and the intentions of the bill was to save money. And we're seeing that in the long run, many of our towns, communities, and schools are running into issues that were unplanned or maybe unintended. And part of those issues are that schools that have had certain tradition of school choice, 150 years, are now seeing that that choice could be threatened. And other districts are finding that other complications are happening, where what districts align with what districts. And so in the long run, we're seeing Act 46 causing a lot of confusion. And we're here today to give a voice to that confusion, to bring it to attention of our legislators, of our Department of Education. And so we have some folks here who are going to speak to that and how it's affecting them or their community. And I'll let Linda have a comment.
I'm Representative Linda Martin, and I represent my hometown of Wolcott, which is a choice town. We had a survey at town meeting as we go through this merger with Act 46, and 75% of the respondents wanted to keep school choice. So I've been a member of this School Choice Caucus. We're hoping to be able to alleviate some of the confusion that towns are feeling about where to go, the choice towns, where they can get answers, and hopefully that the Board of Education is listening to us and the concerns we have as we go forward, because there's a real need for leadership in directing our choice towns to keep this tradition and this very important issue with schools.
Thank you. Thank you, Linda. And now we're going to hear from Dave Kelly, a school board member from Greensboro, and he's got a few comments for us.
Well, thanks for inviting me, Vicki. I wanted to start by reading exactly what Act 46 says. All governance transitions contemplated pursuant to this act shall preserve the ability of a district that, as of the effective date of this section, provides for the education of all resident students in one or more grades by paying tuition on the student's behalf. All governance transitions. That word all, it doesn't say some, it says all governance transitions. That's a simple one-syllable word. It's easy to understand. Shall preserve the ability of the district to continue tuitioning their students. Shall. It's not optional, it's obligatory. But if that isn't clear enough, the language of Act 46 goes on to say, and shall not require the district to limit the options available to students if it ceases to exist as a discrete entity and realigns into a supervisory district or a union school district. I can't imagine language any clearer. Is there anybody in this audience who thinks they don't understand that language? Because if you don't, I'd like you to raise your hand. We'll get to you later, okay? Because I want to talk about that. These words, all and shall, are simple words. But our State Board of Education says this doesn't mean all governance transitions shall preserve the right to tuition their students if they so choose. Our State Board of Education says, well, we think this violates the Common Benefits Clause of the Vermont Constitution. Now, I want you to stop and think about that. I'm on the executive board of the Orleans Southwest Supervisory Union. For many, many, many years, we have had within our SU, Wolcott and Stannard. They're choice towns. We've also had Greensboro, Woodbury, and Hardwick. They're operating towns. Nobody ever has suggested that we violate the Common Benefits Clause. We have had, for over 100 years, dozens and dozens of schools right next door, operating schools next door to tuition towns within the same state of Vermont. Nobody over all of those years ever suggested that violates the Common Benefits Clause. But all of a sudden, when we start talking about mergers, somebody thinks the Common Benefits Clause has been violated. It's silly. It makes no sense. And I want to tell you why choice is important. I want to give you two examples. One afternoon, a young boy came into my office with his dad, and he said he wanted to take drafting, but his school didn't offer drafting. But the school down the road did, and the school board wouldn't let him leave. And he said, "Is there anything you can do to help?" And I said, "I'm really busy right now. I can't take a pro bono case. I'll talk to the school board." They were adamant. They wouldn't let him. That boy never took drafting. If he was wealthy, he would have been able to go to another school, but he wasn't. He stayed there. He never got to take drafting. Another time, a young lady and her mother came into my office. The young lady's father was black, the mother was white, and at school, some of her fellow students thought it was funny to call her Oreo or Zebra, and she wanted out. And the principal and the superintendent and the board wouldn't let her go. I went to court for her. We went all the way to the Vermont Supreme Court, and that girl's parents wound up paying tuition out of their not very deep pockets so she could go to a school where she was more comfortable. I would suggest to you that those students not having choice, that violates the Common Benefits Clause, because if they came from wealthy families, they would have had choices. They would have been able to take drafting. They would have gone to a more comfortable school. And what I want to say to our State Board of Education, I want to say what the poet Yeats wrote years ago when he wrote, "Because I, being poor, have only my dreams. I have laid my dreams before you. Tread softly, because you tread on my dreams." The State Board of Education is treading on a lot of people's dreams. Instead of less choice, we need more choice. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Now we'll have our Don Turner speak for us, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Vicki. Nice. Thank you, Dave. Good afternoon. I'm speaking today because I want you to understand from my perspective, our perspective, where we're at with this. So when the legislature enacted and debated Act 46, assurances were made to legislators that school choice towns would be able to merge with operating districts while maintaining their historical choice. This, however, was inaccurate. As a result, legislators who supported the bill and their constituents feel betrayed today, as do I. Act 46 is being implemented in a way that is inconsistent with the original intent of the law. I strongly feel that Representative Sharp and the Education Committee have an obligation to our colleagues and to all of our constituents to approve a fix to Act 46 immediately. A fix that allows for school choice towns to maintain their choice should they choose to merge with non-school choice towns. I want to emphasize that this is not a Democrat versus Republican issue. This is an issue regarding the 150-year-long unique and valuable tradition of school choice in our state. Towns such as Westford, Elmore, Fairfield, and Timoth have already lost school choice. Around 94 towns that are going through the merger process stand to lose their privilege of school choice. Any town that loses school choice will also negatively impact surrounding towns that are receiving kids from the sending community. It is worth noting that many of these towns are represented by several of our Democrat colleagues. We are here today to emphasize our commitment to fixing this problem now. We are not interested in playing meaningless political games such as proposing amendments on the floor and having them dismissed as non-germane. Does the committee intend to do away with school choice altogether? If so, then both legislators and the people of Vermont deserve to know the truth today. On behalf of the families and children of Vermont, we demand to know if the legislature is willing to protect the freedom and privilege of school choice by resolving this issue before the end of this session. Thank you.
Cynthia Browning come now, who has proposed numerous amendments and been strong to fight for school choice in Act 46.
Yes, I'm one of those people that proposed amendments and had them declared non-germane and denied a vote on the floor of the House. I feel that given the interpretation of the School Board of Education on this issue, it's really important to loosen up the requirements in Act 46 to accommodate the varying patterns of school choice we have in this state. I think that districts that are completely tuitioning, that are all school choice, they can probably merge in some way without losing their school choice with a similar district. But the districts that are particularly at risk are those that are K through 6 or K through 8 that may not have merger partners nearby to consolidate with because of the varying patterns of operating and tuitioning. So I tried to do several things. One was I tried to make the consolidation ultimately voluntary. So the School Board of Education could recommend rearrangements of districts, but could not force districts into mergers they did not agree to. Because right now the School Board of Education has the power to force a district into a consolidation they don't agree to under Act 46. That was, the House was denied a chance to vote on that. The second amendment I offered was to try to loosen up some of the rules, to reduce the number of required students for the merger structure. Right now you have to have 900 students for a preferred structure. That would go down to 600. Or 1150 for one of the other structures, that would go down to 800. That would just make it easier for districts to meet the required merger structure. I also had ways of tweaking what are called the side-by-sides in the red that would have made those structures more flexible. Many districts want to consolidate, they want to merge, but they can't meet the rules dictated in Act 46. Now, some will tell you, well, if they can't do it, they should just do what they think is best and come to the school board and ask for a waiver. I don't think they should have to ask for a waiver to continue to do what they think makes sense for their children from an unelected appointed school board of education. That is not right. That is not right. So I would urge everybody who's concerned about this issue to contact their senators to try to see if the Senate can tweak some of these rules and provide more space and flexibility so we can accommodate different patterns of choice and preserve the systems of educating our children that have worked so well for us. And I thank Representative Strong very much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to have Mike Hebert speak, who is a school board member and been one for many years.
Thank you. As Vicki said, I've been a school board member for many years. I've served on school boards for about 35 years, 28 years in the town of Vernon. When Act 60, Act 46 was being explored and examined in the committee, I would continually go to the members of the committee and ask, are we going to be safe with school choice? And I think they attempted to put an assurance in there in Section 4 that said if you had school choice, you wouldn't lose it. The reality is that legal opinions hold that if you opt to merge and you're in a district that you're the only one with school choice, someone could sue under equity and probably prevail. That created an enormous problem for Vernon. Vernon is a very unique situation. We're the only school that belongs to a high school union and at the same time maintains school choice. So we've been looking at numerous options. There's the side-by-sides, red. It would have been very helpful if Representative Browning could have gotten a couple of amendments passed. But the real crux of the matter is almost every town's situation is unique to that town. Act 46 is one of those one-size-fits-all items, and for many towns it works very well and mergers pretty easy and goes along smoothly, and for those towns I congratulate them. But for Vernon, we've been in a union district since the 1950s, and for us to maintain choice, the neatest way for us to do that would be to have the other towns vote us out of the union, become an operating pre-K to 6, and then maintain school choice 7 to 12. It's very cumbersome, very difficult to do, and you're not guaranteed you're going to get that. If we are forced into a merger, one of the suggestions said in our articles of agreement that the other towns would allow Vernon to keep school choice. But in speaking with attorneys from the Department of Ed, all it would take would be one parent anywhere in the state to say, my child should have those same benefits. And especially someone within our own unified district to say that. So our school choice is certainly in jeopardy. To our town, it's a significant value. The last several houses that have been sold in town, I checked with the realtors, the number one reason people move to Vernon is because we operate a school with school choice. The next school with school choice is in Dover, and that's probably 35, 40 miles away. So for us to hook up with a like town, it's pretty difficult to do that. We could have a supervisory, or we could have a unified district if we went with like towns that would have Dover, Wardsboro, Jamaica, and Vernon in a grouping. But geographically, we would cover pretty much the breadth of the county. And I don't know if you'd find a superintendent that would want to do that. It would be extraordinarily difficult. The bottom line is there has to be substantial changes to Act 46. We've had a tremendous tradition in Vermont of utilizing school choice to give opportunities to children to go to the school that best fits their needs. One of the things that we've learned in our experience with school choice since the 50s in Vernon is about 20% of our students will go to Brattleboro. And Brattleboro is an excellent high school. I mean, I'll match it up with any high school in the state. It's first rate. It covers a broad range of subject matter, and it does a great job. But about 20% of those kids don't fit into that environment. And some of them were on IEPs at Brattleboro. They went to a smaller school. We tuitioned to a school across the border in Massachusetts. They got off their IEPs, they got on honor students because they fit in the environment. And that's hugely important. When you look at the children of the state of Vermont, do we want to fund particular schools, or do we want to fund a particular student's education? My preference, fund their education. If I'm going to spend $15,000, $17,000, $18,000 to educate a student, I don't care if they go to Vernon or not. What I care about is, does that student go to the school that affords them the best opportunity for success? And that's what school choice is really about in Vermont. It's parents having the option and the choice to send their children to the schools that work best for them. Thank you.
Larry Fiske from R-Enosburg has a statement.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. I come from R-Irasburg, and R-Irasburg is just a nice little town up there. We've got elementary school in Montgomery. We've got one in Berkshire. We have Bakersfield, and these schools are just top-notch throughout, compared to the state. And one of the things that I keep hearing up there, I get emails and phone calls, is, Larry, what are they going to do about our choice? Are they going to really take our choice away from us? And I keep telling them, well, legislators are doing the very best they can to make sure that you don't lose your choice. Another thing they're concerned about is lack of representation. If they have to go through some sort of a college consolidation or something, well, what's going to happen with their school board? And they think that maybe their school board is going to be dissolved, and then they'll come under one major school board, and instead of having 5 people on a board, maybe some of these towns might wind up with 2. Well, they don't feel like they're going to be represented as well as what they think they ought to be. I just think that we need to keep choice for all these small schools. Enosburg and Richford, they've got high schools. They've also got a middle school. Those 2 towns aren't too concerned about it, but the smaller towns are. We need to do the best we can down here to make sure they maintain their choice. Thanks.
Thank you, Larry. And we're privileged today to have with us 11th grader Nava Crispe from Danby, who drove all the way here, and we appreciate that. She's got some words for us.
Hi everyone, my name is Nava Crispe, and I'm currently in the 11th grade at Long Trail School in Dorset. Due to the recent news that Vermont school choice is in jeopardy, I felt that it is my responsibility to share my own beliefs as to why such a decision would be a disappointing step backwards. Additionally, I hope to explain why many students who utilize school choice, such as myself, value it and greatly appreciate living in a state that offers such a great option for our education. School choice has enabled me to receive an excellent education, an option that, if anything, should be extended to more and more people. The future of education is personalized and innovative, and not a one-size-fits-all approach. Instead of attending the public school closest to my home in Danby, I've been privileged to attend Long Trail instead. Not only has Long Trail provided me with an excellent education, but it has nurtured me, inspired me, developed me as both a student and a person, and allowed me to thrive in an environment that suits me best, one that I would not have had if I was in a much larger public school. The impact to an end to or limiting of school choice would bring about unprecedented difficulties to private schools in Vermont, and moreover, the students attending them. Often, our best intentions are fraught with unintended consequences, as would be the case with the implementation of Act 46, uprooting Vermont's best educational asset of school choice. Furthermore, the average age of Vermont's population is currently 57.3 years old, which is why it is imperative that we invest in the younger population and encourage them to stay in the state. Without exceptional academic options like school choice, the already minuscule younger population will only dramatically decline. Why would young families remain in Vermont when they can find better educational opportunities elsewhere? There would no longer be an incentive for their children to remain in an area that lacks a diverse array of educational options. The inconvenient truth about Act 46 is that it is likely to lead to the loss of our best and brightest students, resulting in an overall brain drain within the state. It's hard enough living in a state where there aren't a lot of kids or opportunities for kids to take hold of. And don't get me wrong, I love Vermont and personally think its natural beauty and warm community are sufficient reasons to live here. But despite this, one of the things I love most about it is that it has given me the chance to go to Long Trail with school choice. After years of attending a variety of schools ranging from public school to cyber school, in an attempt to find one that I truly liked, I found it. My performance as a student has transformed from mediocre to high honor roll. I've been academically challenged, pushed to succeed, and fortunate to participate in the International Baccalaureate Diploma Program at the only school in Vermont that offers it. I greatly appreciate being granted this opportunity to share my educational experiences and publicly acknowledge the immensely positive impact that Long Trail and school choice has made in my life. I'm proud to be an 11th generation Vermonter who lives in a state where I can express my voice and be heard, so thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank everyone for coming today. That ends our press conference. We'll be hanging around here if anyone wants to speak to us personally.
We had somebody here that didn't understand the Section 4 of Act 46, and I want to be sure to talk about it.
So,
He fled. I am not surprised. Because those words, all and shall, are simple words.
also want to mention our forum today from 4 to 6 in room 11.
Well, when we use the word, it means.
Thank you.
Thanks,